X-Verse Monthly, a show about the X-Men, the comics, the movies, the TV shows, but mostly the comics. I'm your host, Midget Radio. We've got a slightly more reasonable load of books here this month, thank God, but damn is it still a lot. But okay, so let's start with expectations, some news. So Sweet Hell, X-Men Dark Phoenix, the movie, has been pushed back, and New Mutants has been pushed back again. That's always a good sign that the movies are in great goddamn shape. There's a rumor that the studio wants to reshoot like 50% of New Mutants. Fucking why? I don't know why. So those two things blow, but the final trailer for Deadpool 2 dropped and it looks fantastic. I don't know, man. Is Ryan Reynolds the only person alive who realizes that X-Men movies are allowed to be fun? We get a little more Domino and Cable in this trailer, and while Domino was not what I expected, she does seem to have a little of that Nina Thurman swagger, which I really appreciate. I'm really looking forward to seeing the two of them in action in Deadpool 2. Comics wise, Wolverine is on his way back, and they're doing 4 fucking separate miniseries called The Hunt for Wolverine. There's like the Madripoor Mystery in Madripoor and fucking whatever in other places. I don't think I can do that. I just don't care that much. It's way too. 4 miniseries, each 4 issues long, a bunch of jackasses searching for Wolverine. What the fuck? Why is he so hard to find? So yeah, that's gonna start like, I don't know, next month maybe. But yeah, I don't know that I'm gonna be reading all those books. Anyway, on to reviews. X-Men Gold, number 21 and 22. So we've escaped the negative zone and we're back on Earth to start part 1 of the Brotherhood arc. And this is a marked improvement from the last arc. We have a couple things going on. So we find out that Mesmero recruited this new pyro guy by disguising himself as Xavier, which is not cool, man. Rachel's hound markings have returned, and she's donned a new costume in response, which I love, the return of the shoulder spikes. Logan left the team because he's old. And like the negative zone stuff really took its toll on him, I guess. Really, he's been through like way worse in his solo title. But I don't know, whatever. So he's gone, not a big deal. So the main thrust here is Mesmero, this new pyro, and Avalanche are going to attack Lydia Nance for using them to do her will way back in the first issues of this series. Kitty and crew find out about the attack and they have to stop it. And it's not bad. I like Kitty having to rescue Nance even when it's like the last thing she'd want to do. I also like the scene where Amara basically demands to come along because Mesmero manipulated her and she's super pissed about it. And once they get there, Kitty starts issuing orders and tells Magma to attack Pyro and fight fire with fire. And Magma's all like, eat a dick, Pride. I'm going to light up Mesmero's stupid Martian Manhunter looking ass first. And she does. Fucking good for you, Magma. But he shakes her off with the headbutt. What the fuck, dude? Magma is made of fucking fire. Who other than like Chuck Norris can headbutt a fucking fire? So somehow these douches down the Gold crew, and we enter issue 22 with unconscious heroes and a captured Kitty Pryde. And 22, what the shit? Maybe Guggenheim here is paying a little attention. We actually get a small piece of Nance's backstory. It's brief, maybe a little generic, but it's fucking something. We find out her father figure, when she was really young, beat her as a child, and turns out he was a mutant. Maybe we're gonna get some context here for all that overt anti-mutant racism. Anyway, that's all we get. The X-Team regain consciousness back in the present, and then telepathically coordinate a surprise attack against the Brotherhood. And Mesmero, who seems like he got a significant power upgrade some time ago, convinces them that they're fighting like this whole shitload of villains, including Sentinels and Omega Red. And it turns out it's an illusion, of course, and they're actually fighting the police who just showed up. So when they break that spell, the X-Men stand down and they're arrested. And Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk herself, is going to represent them while they await trial in prison. I kind of like that they're in prison. Man, if this issue ended right here, I'd have been really pretty high on it, but no. On the last page, we go back to the negative zone. And it's like, why? We were just there, why? And Annihilus is there, and he's looking at a fucking portal in the middle of space, out of which steps the goddamn statue god from the previous arc, and he's mad. He's mad. When is this fucking statue not mad? I guess when he's just a statue. But he's mad now about being imprisoned by the X-Men. Like, he fucking knows who they are. And how long was he even in there? Barely one goddamn issue. Son of a sweet bitch. I can't even tell if this fucking guy is even sentient, because all we saw it do in the last arc was tear up cities like fucking Gojira. Someone needs to take it to the fucking kaiju pound and euthanize its ass. So, X-Men in prison, yes, negative zone. Please get sucked into your own stupid fucking vortex. Or just stick to Fantastic Four comics, god damn it. X-Men Blue 21, and then Venom 162, and then X-Men Blue 22. So we've got parts 2 through 4 here of the Poison X crossover, and we pick up after the X-Men Blue annual, where that symbiote crew, those bounty hunters, come upon our blue team in a space bar. And what's the one thing you're guaranteed to find in any bar? That's right, a fucking bar fight. You think there's any crossover between people who read comics and write comics and people who play D&D? Hey, let's start this campaign in a fucking tavern, see what happens next. So Teen Scott here gets run through with symbiote tentacle meat, and he's pretty well effed, while Venom and the rest of the team fight off this symbiote gang and buy an escape. And Venom tracks down the dude they met in Annual 1, who I guess they had first gone to for information. And Venom tracks him down because they had sold them out, and he finds out by fucking torturing this dude and ripping his goddamn limbs off. He finds out the name of that symbiote poacher, Haze Mancer. Every time I saw it, I kept thinking Mance Raider. Is that my problem? Anybody else have that problem? But Haze Mancer, who sold the symbiotes to this gang in the first place. And Venom is pretty fucking hardcore. I really like the scene with Jean and Scott here, where Jean is trying to shut down his pain receptors and telepathically telling him to cut it out with the gloomy thoughts. It's just cool. I was okay with Teen Jean, exploring her feelings with Angel and Beast a little bit during those Bendis years. I was okay with that. But what the fuck, right? Psyche is the one. Cyclops is the one. So the whole team finds Haze, and in the ensuing brouhaha, some trapped symbiotes get loose and bond with our X-Men. Oh shit. So we pick up with Venom 162. Everybody's all venomized now. I kind of like Psyche's new look here the most, but I like that Jean's got the spikes a la Rachel Gray. Lots of shoulder spikes going on. So they capture Haze and stop Venom from gutting his ass. And they find out that this dude puts trackers in all the symbiotes that he sold to people. What kind of black market arms dealer is that, man? tracking all his fucking customers. Like, they're supposed to be selling untraceable shit. I mean, that's why I have one. So we end with the blue team in pursuit of the Starjammers captors, and we dovetail into this scene where Haze is captured, and there's this attack. He's like in prison, and there's this attack on the Nova Corps guys who are guarding the prison where he's being held, and Nova Corps soldiers are just getting their asses handed to them left and right by this fucking, I don't know what this is. This is a gray dude. This dude is gray. He's gray. I think he has a machete, so that's kind of sweet. But he's a gray dude. Maybe he has a machete. That's kind of badass. And he's there to bust Haze out. And then we pick up back in blue, blue 22. The team find the bounty hunters in space. I'm not quite sure how they pull this one off, but basically Bobby encases them all in an ice ball, big ball of ice, and rams them into the bounty hunter's spaceship while it is traveling in freaking space. I mean, good shot, right? Like, good shot, I guess. But of course, there's a Titanic joke here. Thank you, Bobby. Scott finds and rescues his dad while Gene and the rest of them attack the bounty hunters. And Gene is like narrating this whole issue and is for some reason worrying about going back to their own time. And she's like, for some reason, worried that she's never going to see Scott again. I didn't quite understand this. I think it was like the symbiotes are affecting the teams. Like, it enhances their abilities and it enhances, their emotional states as well. So, I mean, maybe it's just high stakes situation and she's just kind of freaking out and the symbiote ain't helping her calm down. So maybe it's just that. But the issue ends with that weird guy from the last issue getting the drop on Gene, and the head bounty hunter, Killer Thrill, who really seems to enjoy saying her own name. And he like somehow turns them into poisons. I don't know. I don't know what a goddamn poison is. It's some venom garbage. I have no idea. So no comment on that. They seem kind of like symbiotes, but I don't know. But so whatever. I'm not totally sure what Gene's worried about. I feel like I missed something in this issue, but I don't know. But overall, the crossover itself, it's not bad. I don't really care much about Venom, but whatevs. It's not bad. X-Men Red #1. So February brought us X-Men Red #1. I am not sure what to think about this one. So Tom Taylor of the continuously excellent all new Wolverine is writing this, and it's our newly risen Jean Grey leading a team consisting of Nightcrawler, Namor, I guess, Gentle, who I don't really remember much about, this new mutant Trinary, and then Laura and Gabby. And kind of a lot happens here. We get Jean rescuing not one, but two new mutants. One of them is an infant who's crying like decimates city blocks. That's a problem. We find she's established a base that is like under the ocean, I think. And it's called Cerebro, like the fucking ocean, like the word for ocean. Cerebro. I mean, anyway, but so the setup here is Jean goes to the UN to campaign to establish, yes, a mutant nation. I mean, Genosha, anyone? How is anyone not thinking of Genosha? I guess we're trying this again. And so she goes to like Atlantis and Wakanda, and Atlantis and Wakanda fucking decide, stand up in the UN and recognize the mutant nation wherever it is and whatever it's called. And Jean encounters some resistance from the ambassador from the UK, who confronts her after the session in the middle of the street and starts saying some weird shit like, I'm annoyed, I was working on something and you ruined this ambassador thing for me. It's kind of a cool scene. And anyway, the ambassador's head then proceeds to explode in front of everybody, which is just bad timing. And of course, everyone thinks Jean did it. So Nightcrawler teleports everybody's ass out of there, and I guess they're on the run. We find out at the end of this issue that Cassandra Nova is still around and was apparently controlling the ambassador this whole time, and exploded her goddamn head in the street. That's Nova. But yeah, so a mutant nation. I this is a bold move that has, I guess, probably gotten totally derailed now. But it's hard because, like, it's a huge thing, and I don't know. Like, I kind of want to know what Kitty thinks about it. Is she aware of this? She's kind of the de facto leader now, so it's just weird that Jean would be doing this without Kitty or, fuck, a larger group of mutants involved than just those immediately around her. It's just weird. It's a bold move, and obviously one that can't escape the shadow of fucking Genosha. So it's just weird. It's a big first issue, and I don't know how I feel about it yet. But I guess we'll see what happens. Astonishing X-Men number 8, Charles Soule. What the shit, man? I'm just gonna say it. If there is one X book to read, it's fucking this one. I am really into it. So Proteus has broken free, and X, or Charles Xavier, in the body of fucking Phantom X, now known as X, deduces that the Shadow King must have been using shards of Proteus's soul to create a psychic feedback loop, because what other fucking explanation could there be? So Proteus is hungry and he's eating up everybody's psychic energy, which apparently is not good for you. And Bishop tries to solve the problem in a way that makes perfect sense to me. He shoots up Proteus, only unfortunately to discover that Proteus feeds off energy. So what are you going to do? I love the exchange here between Logan and Mystique, where Logan, referring to X, just says to Mystique, so this new guy, and Mystique fucking right there with him, right there, just immediately responds, yeah, I don't trust this fucker either. You move on him and I've got your back. I may be paraphrasing, but you can always count on Raven. I mean, not really, but if you're thinking about beating somebody's ass for being shady, you've got a friend in Mystique. So the end of this issue, oh boy, the end of this issue. X and Psylocke track down Proteus to Hyde Park. And in response, Proteus creates a psychic projection of like a Scotland castle and reveals that when the X-Men first fought him and killed his ass, he was only 10 years old. So that's a bit of a surprise. And Proteus offers them a deal. He's like, hey man, despite the fact you guys were total dicks to me the first time around, you can see I'm not trying to go crazy and like eat up the fucking planet right now. So, you can just bail and we can be bygones. And X is like, fuck that. And he attacks Proteus. And Proteus, I mean, talk about a creative approach to problem solving, psychically melds the personas of X and Psylocke together, which apparently translates to the physical realm, creating this freak show hybrid of Betsy and Phantom X. What the ass? I feel like I say that a lot when I read this book, but what the ass? That's generally my review, and if you need clarification, it means I fucking dig it. This is a great book. I encourage everyone to pick it up. Weapon X14. This book too is fun as hell. So in the last issue, right, Nuke and his Nuke junkies were attacking Weapon X, and Sabretooth came up with the great plan of having the team take Nuke's pills to amp up themselves and go fucking nuts. So they do it, and it's great. Nuke's firing off his M16 looking like a fucking psycho patriot Joker when the X crew break loose. Warpath and Domino kick ass, make out, kick ass, make out. Nuke shoots Sabretooth with a fucking RPG that Sabretooth catches and then throws back at him. What is there not to like about this book? It's just ridiculous. So things settle down when Warpath catches Nuke, stuffs a downer in his veins, And in a decision that is just questionable as all hell, they let Nuke go, knowing that Nuke is going to proceed with his original mission and assassinate President Duarte, which he totally fucking does, and leaves the country, which allows the resistance to take over so the people of Santo Marco can install the next fucking tyrant. Probably is what will happen. I mean, I love it, but it's totally wrong. But Duarte was a threat to the mutants of Santo Marco, right? So fuck him. But, you know, yeah, dirty ass foreign policy. Sometimes it works. Anyway, the issue ends with Sabretooth and Deathstrike kind of questioning how much they want to keep playing the hero. I mean, it's weird to look at this crew and consider them all heroes, but that's, I guess, how they feel. And Sabretooth reveals to Deathstrike that he stashed some red pills. Looks like they're probably going to have fun. I am definitely looking forward to it. This is a fun, stupid, ridiculous, over-the-top fucking X-Force book. And it's fantastic. Generation X 87. Ugh. All right, listener. The next few minutes are just going to be a goddamn sob fest. So feel free to skip ahead or do the proper thing and commiserate. This is our last issue of Generation X. So Jubes has her powers back, thanks to Quire's Phoenix Flare. But they've still got Emplate to deal with, and because Nathaniel grabbed her in the last issue, she's got his powers now to like basically get the whole life story of anyone she touches. So to overload her system and I guess help her, you know, remember the good old days, Husk, Jono, and Jubilee, fucking Gen X alumni, all take hold of her at once, and it purges the flood of memories. It purges Emplate from Monet, who can't exist on this plane, and he withers away into vapor, and we get Monet back all good and whole and lovely and fucking snobbish and arrogant, and man, I love Monet. The last half of this issue ties up some loose threads. Nathaniel and Benji finally go all in with a kiss. Jubilee and Jono seem kind of official now. Quire is sticking around. Roxy is leaving to, I guess, just like reconnect with her family and get comfortable living among humans. Jubilee, goddamn it, tells Kitty while they're throwing this going away party for Roxy that she's realized that we don't always get to choose the family we're born with, but that doesn't mean we can't make one for ourselves. That's the fucking heart and soul of this franchise. To me, it's what separates the X-Men from every other goddamn comic book superhero bullshit. Being born a fucking weirdo outcast and finding a family among the rest of the fucking weirdos. Christina Strain is like one of the few X-writers I think to really nail that aspect of the X-Men, and she did it in 12 issues like a fucking boss. So, bon voyage, Gen X, bon voyage, Christina. I really hope we see you again soon. If you didn't read this book, pick it up in trade or read it on Marvel Unlimited, and then email Marvel and tell them we've all made a mistake by not buying enough copies of this book, and we're sorry, but please bring it back or we will set your asses on fire. Or tweet it. I think that's the appropriate number of characters. Iceman number 10. So we're wrapping up this arc with Daken. Daken just executed Bobby's boyfriend, and Amp, Daken's like pet boy toy, trapped the kids in the danger room. So we pick up with Michaela, that super spit girl. She has super spit, right? Like spits bullets, like bullet spit. Like it's not actual bullets, but the spit is like a bullet. Whatever. Michaela and EDA. I say EDA. That the girl from Generation Hope with the fire and ice powers, right? I've heard people pronounce it ID, and I think that sounds stupid. So I say EDA. You know, whatever. So they return, and the mansion is a total fucking disaster. Bobby and Daken basically just fight this entire issue. The most enjoyable part probably is Michaela just beating up that Amp kid. I hate that kid. He makes a great punching bag, though. I hope that's basically his character from now on. Just be a goddamn punching bag. And I I don't quite understand how this gets resolved, but Bobby wins the fight by dumping Daken into a frozen lake. I don't know. It's really hard to resolve like this with Daken and all new Wolverine. I mean, it's two completely different characters practically. So I guess he's frozen, and that takes care of that. It turns out Bobby's boyfriend didn't die, but he does come to his senses and tells Bobby, like, hey, man, being gutted may be your thing, but it's not really mine, so thanks for everything, but I'll see you later. It's a fair position, I think. Bobby takes it a little hard. I mean, maybe a little harder than is reasonable, but, relationships, what are you going to do? So it seems like Bobby is thinking of staying now, and to sweeten the pot, Kitty offers him his own team, which I like. I actually like that a lot. Honestly, fuck. So Generation X, right back in the day, was Banshee and Emma leading the school. What about Bobby and Jubilee leading the next one? Fucking Marvel. I would really like that. God. Spoiler alert. Every X-Men comic review is now going to be a fucking review of Generation X. I mean, not really, but I reserve the right. This book is ending really soon. I don't know what to say. Looking forward to the next issue. All new Wolverine number 31. This is, what do you say about this? This is a one-off issue, which we don't really get like ever anymore, but it's fun and it's goofy and it's a stupid good time. So Gabby is taking Jonathan for a walk. I mean, that's it. Jonathan, the actual Wolverine, is now able to communicate via universal translator, which I'm not like all the way on board with, but okay. But so he leads Gabby to the place where he was experimented on. So Gabby decides to call Deadpool to help her take it down, since she knows Laura will probably disapprove. And this is great shit. They basically discover that the scientist running this experiment is creating fucking zombie animals. God knows why. So we get treated to scenes of Deadpool carving up dead bunnies or undead bunnies. I have to admit, the zombie sloth scene made me chuckle, and Deadpool's fucking squirrel kebabs. It's just so stupid. Laura shows up looking for Gabby. They find the scientist who is responsible for this, and in true fucking Wolverine Deadpool X-Force fashion, drop his ass into a pit of his own zombie creations and burn the whole fucking building down. This was a great little breather issue between this and the next arc. Just fun and stupid. Tom Taylor, keep it up, man. I mean, really a fun issue. Old Man Logan, number 35. Speaking of kebabs, the last issue here of the Scarlet Samurai arc shows just how much people seem to enjoy skewering Logan. So Gorgon puts a third katana through this poor old bastard, and Mariko goes apeshit, beats Gorgon's ass, but he's rescued by the hand before she can deliver the killing blow. A little convenient, but okay. Logan is at death's door when he loses consciousness and then wakes up on a boat to Japan. It turns out Mariko gave him Regenix to jumpstart his healing factor because it wasn't fucking working. And apparently that did the trick. And I guess we'll see if it has any negative effects. I'm kind of doubting it. So Mariko and Logan go to the Yashida Corporation to destroy the last of the Regenix data. Turns out Yashida has stopped the project already. And Silver Samurai kindly reveals to them as they are destroying his fucking building that they are in fact destroying research on foot pain relief. Cute. So Regenix issue resolved. Now what do we do with Mariko? Hopefully forget about this whole fucking thing. Basically, they leave the building, and Mariko just walks off into Japan, unsure of what to do, but making sure whatever it is will be her choice. Okay. She does give Logan some box and tells him not to open it unless it's an emergency. I don't know what the fuck it is. Maybe it's more Regenix. I don't know. An okay arc, despite the Mariko resurrection. I like that it ends with Logan walking into a bar just to get a drink, just as a fight breaks out. On to the next fucking D&D campaign, right? I guess. Cabal number 154. So we've got the climactic showdown with old Gideon here. Selene and Blink have joined up with Cable's crew for the final confrontation. Selene battles Gideon, trying to convince him that the power of the externals was meant to be split across 7 people. It's just too damn much for one individual. Highlander shit. So to show how serious he is about his goal here, Gideon grows into a giant Gideon to stomp all those who would oppose him. And Blink, that beautiful purple little problem solver, puts a portal right about the neckline and teleports Gideon's head to God knows where. Turns out to be a pretty effective little measure. I guess it doesn't kill him. Only an external can kill an external, but it does put his ass on the ground. So Cable disbands the team, kind of leaves them in an awkward spot just as he ports away, and they have no real means of transportation to get home, I guess, except Blink. Poor Blink, right? Thanks for saving a day. Now go back to being the fucking taxi for all of us. The issue ends on a note I'm not smart enough to understand. A baby is born, and we get a close-up of its eye, and it's purple, has a purple eye. I don't know, man. Sometimes these comics are just over my head. The preview of the next issue has what appears to be some Liefeld-inspired art. I mean, that should be fun. Overall, pretty entertaining arc. I like Cable with the team. Hope he's got a team in the next issue as well. Rogue and Gambit number 2. So I really dug this first issue, and I really like this issue too. Who is Kelly Thompson, man? Because I'm officially a fan. So we start out with Gambit and Rogue in a therapy session. I already love it. So the therapist invites them to start in on whatever they want to say to each other. And I like this little explosion of image bubbles here. And it's pretty perfect that the one shown coming from Gambit is about Magneto and Rogue. Because yes, while Rogue has, in fact, made out with Deadpool, she has done things even fucking grosser. And of course, Rogue is yelling at Gambit about Belladonna. I fucking love these two. A good chunk of this issue is devoted to them arguing about the first time they actually met each other. And it was technically while the Shadow King had Rogue under his control, which Rogue doesn't consider the first time since she wasn't herself in that moment. It's great stuff. And I like this scene where they're talking about it, and Gambit tells her that what it proves is that the only thing that can cut through mind control for him is Rogue. What a pimp. And Rogue apologizes for saying mean things in the session, and he apologizes for saying mean things. And I like the part where they both sort of acknowledge that even though they were cruel to each other in that like therapist session, it kind of feels like it doesn't matter, which I mean, I just love it. It just shows how much they care about each other, that they can explode on each other and be hurtful and cruel. But it's out of this like deep fucking connection that they have with one another that is the root, I think, of so much of pain and also like just all this comfort, you know? Life pulls them apart, right? And destiny brings them back together. Like it's hurting the thing you love and loving the fucking thing that hurts you. It's great shit. It's great, just fucking kind of dysfunctional but epic relationship type shit. And while they're trying to investigate this retreat here, they get caught by some powered up fools, and all hell breaks loose. And we cut to the doctor therapist lady who's with this hooded dude named Lavish, I guess. I don't know this fucking guy. And like he has a plan and whatever. And it's almost complete. That's fine. But Gambit and Rogue fans, this is the book for us. It so entirely captures the chemistry between these two characters. I can't say enough good things about it. Just get and enjoy. Legion number 2. This is starting to get a little more fun. So after David rescues this psychologist, Dr. Jones, from her couch, he convinces her to help him with his cray-cray, as Patsy Walker might say. He's not real diplomatic about it either. He drops her into his mindscape without really prepping her for the experience. What an ass, right? And gets one of his alters, named Tammy Har, I guess, to play to play Virgil to Jones's Dante. So the thrust of this is fairly simple. Lord Trauma, another alter, has subsumed weaker personalities and is beginning to take over Legion's mindscape, I guess, in an attempt to take over David himself. And Dr. Jones is going to spearhead the attempt to stop him. Most of this issue is her kind of acclimating to the environment and getting to know Tammy, but it's pretty entertaining. We're treated to an event in David's life where, as a young child, he got pissed at a psychologist trying to help him and kind of made that psychologist kill himself. Not great. The issue ends as David is freaking out in the outside world and a so-called paranoia storm erupts in his mind. I like what Milligan is doing here, like with the head trip. It's pretty creative. And I like the sea full of nightmares and the bittersweet spores, like these spores that contain Legion's bittersweet memories, first loves, and all that shit that didn't work out. It should be fun to see what Lord Trauma here does to Dr. Jones as she seems to have a weakness for fame. I'm consciously avoiding all Dr. Jones. I'm consciously avoiding all Indiana Jones references. Listener, I hope you appreciate it. Anyway, after a slow start to issue 1, this is definitely a step up. So definitely looking forward to where this one goes from here. Whew, man, it's always a marathon with these things. That's it for this episode. So many X-Men comics. Good God. Not a bad month, all in all. Good work, February 2018. You showed up. You did a good job. Except, of course, that we're having to part ways with Generation X, of course. Go read that book. God damn it, I'm serious. And Rogue and Gambit. And Astonishing. Also, and Weapon X. Just because X-Men are awesome. All right. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next month.